Hi. I get messages all the time from people through YouTube, and they say to me, what do I do? I'm experiencing mental illness and I can't get the help that I need, the support isn't there, what do I do? And it's really distressing, obviously, to read these messages, and I know that the health system is particularly lacking when it comes to mental health. So just a few pointers, tips about what to do, or what I found useful when coping with mental illness. So I hope they'll be useful to you as well. Sometimes just waking up in the mornings and getting out of bed feels like the hardest task in the world. I know I used to wake up in the mornings and I'd literally feel sick as soon as I awoke. I'd feel a surge of dread and nausea right in the pit of my stomach, and I just wanted to throw the duvet over my head and not have to face the outside world. I know it's not much consolation, but if you're going through that right now, then know that you're not alone. Unfortunately, there's probably thousands and thousands of people who are waking up right at the very moment that you're waking up and feeling exactly the same thing. If you can, try and give yourself just one thing each day to make yourself want to throw over the duvet and take a step out of bed. No matter what it is, something small, something large, it doesn't matter. Just find that one thing each day. Maybe it's something like having your favourite meal that day, or maybe a magazine you like comes into the stores that day, or perhaps you live near a beach and you take a walk by the shore. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter, but what matters is that you don't stay isolated. I know sometimes that getting through the next minute, let alone getting through the whole day, just seems unbearable. When you wake up, try and open the window or take a step outside and just take a deep breath in and out and look at what's around you, the clouds maybe, or listen to the traffic on the street. Just try and immerse yourself in the outside world. And you might not be hungry, but breakfast is so important. So try and have at least a glass of water and maybe some fruit as well. They recommend that half an hour to an hour's exercise each day is really vital in keeping body and mind healthy. And when you're really low, you probably don't want to do exercise. So if you can, go down to your local park, fields, woods, and if you don't want to be seen, then just put on a pair of glasses and a hat and maybe a big coat and just go for a walk. And while you're walking, try and externalize yourself, so you're focusing on the sounds you hear. Maybe it's kids playing in the playground, or sound of the breeze, and other things like what you see around you. Maybe flowers are in bloom or blossoms forming on the trees. If you do that for half an hour or so, you'll feel much better because your mind's not focused on your thoughts and your mood. I'd also really recommend yoga. Again, you don't have to go out to do this. You can do it in your home, and maybe you don't want to be seen, you don't want to be part of a group. Well, that's fine. I do it on my own, and I listen to an audiobook. It's really good because, again, it diverts the mind from focusing on thoughts and moods, and it gets you into your body, because obviously you've got to focus on your stretching and your posture so you don't pull any muscles. Food plays a massive role in keeping your mind healthy. I know when I was ill, I had a tendency to either overeat or undereat, and I'd usually crave sweet things, things that weren't good for me. This will be hard at first, but instead of going for chocolate bar or some comfort food, go for some fruit, something sweet like an orange or an apple, or vegetables like peppers. They're really sweet, because often you do crave something sweet when you're feeling really low. So this is a much better alternative to chocolate, biscuits, those sort of things. But when you're going through a really hard time, do have the food that you enjoy, you know. And also what's really important is supplements, particularly vitamin B and vitamin C, and also zinc and magnesium. Really recommend them, and actually studies have been done that show that all of those supplements are really important to having a healthy mind. So I'd really recommend them. And what else? Try and avoid processed foods as well. Often when the thoughts are overwhelming and you're in a lot of distress, you feel like you want to cause yourself physical pain. What's going on in your mind, the despair, you have to let it out somehow. And I know for myself, I used to take a pair of scissors and a knife, and I used to cut my arms. It was a massive release. But another release that you can try, and instead of this, is to pick up a pen and put the pen to paper and just write whatever comes down, whatever comes out of your head. Words, phrases. You'll feel really silly at first because, well, probably a lot of what you write doesn't make sense. But maybe a form will develop, or a rhythm, rhyme might follow. So you'll be able to create a poem or a song, or even if it's not writing, maybe it's a drawing or some form of art. But the point is you're getting everything out of here and onto here, and this instead of this, which just aggravates the situation really. This is much more healthy and much more beneficial as well to relieving some of the distress. So it will be hard at first to move away from the scissors to the pen, but you'll find that you do it once and you'll feel much better because your head's not so clogged up and you can breathe a bit more. So give it a try, and hopefully it will work for you, and hopefully you'll want to do it the next time you feel like you need to have a release, and the next time after that, and you'll get into the pattern where you're creating instead of harming. Communication. Communication is really tough anyway, especially in the Western world. But even more so when you're ill and you want to try and appear strong and not vulnerable, but obviously when you're ill you are quite vulnerable and you need help. When I was ill, I found it really hard to form the words that I needed to express what was going on in my head. But then I also found it really hard to say those words to anyone. But there are people out there that are waiting for your calls or emails, because often you can't face seeing someone in person and telling them what's going through your mind, like the GP or a psychiatrist. So if you really need to talk to someone, then A good place to start is the Samaritans, emailing the Samaritans, or maybe giving a charity like Mind a call, so they can point you in the right direction and give you the best advice. The worst thing you can do is to keep it to yourself. It's just going to build and build until eventually it explodes. If you can, then talk to a friend. You often feel like you're going to be judged, but a true friend is there for you no matter what. Remember that you can always come back to the breath. It's a source of validation, I suppose, of who you really are. There's more to you than what's going on up here at the moment. So, when things get too much, try and focus back on the breath, wherever it's strongest in the body. So, at the moment, my belly, that's where I can feel the breath the most. But sometimes, especially when you're out and about, often you feel it most at the nostrils. So it doesn't matter where you feel it, but just focus on it. Just remind yourself that you're breathing and you're present, you're here. Especially at night, people that tend to suffer with insomnia or have trouble getting off to sleep, really focus on your breath. Instead of, I know when I used to wake up in the night, the first thing I'd do is start a cycle in my mind of thoughts, but now I've learnt to, as soon as I wake up, just focus on my breath and focus in and focus out again. And it's really important just to do this throughout the day, even when you're not feeling in an anxious state or tense. Just keep reminding yourself that you're breathing and just follow the breath in and out. Each in-breath is a new beginning, and each out-breath you're letting go. Try and do this all the time, every day. Focus on your breath, and wherever you are, it doesn't matter. It's always there, it's always accessible to you. It might feel at present like you're stuck in a deep, dark tunnel and there's literally no light at the end of it. But remember that you're not always going to feel like this. And it might seem at the moment like there's no way out, but start thinking about the future. No one really knows how long their recovery will take, but you can still plan ahead 6 months, a year. Take your calendar or take your diary and actually start planning things. So maybe for 6 months' time, plan to do something that you've never done before. Plan to start a new hobby or go somewhere that you've always wanted to go, you've never had the chance. And actually say to yourself, well, by the end of October, I want to have taken my first guitar lesson. It doesn't have to be set in stone, but it will give you the motivation, even more motivation to get better. And it will keep you focused ahead and not always in the present and how you're feeling now. What you're feeling at the moment is just temporary, and it's important to keep telling yourself that all things must pass. And to remember that after the storm always follows the sunshine and the blue sky. So you will get there. You will get better.